Super Rugby round 15 Saturday games, of which there were 5. I watched a couple. I decided to get up and watch the Pro 14 final, so I missed some of these later games. I've seen all the highlights, read through all the stats, had a look at the log. Interesting days. I'll start with the first one. The Rebels going over to Japan and giving the Sunwolves a bit of a hiding. It's exactly what they needed to do. In terms of their position on the table, and with the Brumbies getting the result the night before, the Rebels needed to go out and get a bonus point win, and they sure did that. 52 points to 7, and the 7 points they conceded was kind of just the charge down. Otherwise, the Sunwolves were potentially looking at a third game without scoring any points. Cottrell got the first one early, made it 7-zip. It was some good passing from the Rebels. Korobedi got his first from a Hodge line break, showed a bit of gas. Hodge never looks that fast, but he is pretty fast. 14-0. 27 minutes, Korobedi gets a try. I believe the Rebels at that time had a yellow card. I've spent that much rugby, I forget now. Why did the Rebels get a yellow card again? Someone will remind me. Korobedi got his try. It was a good Cooper kind of long pass. It was 19-0. That's what the score was at halftime, and that yellow card period was 5-zip to the Rebels. Guinea, man, second half. He took a massive knock to the head, so Amanaki Mafi was running at him, and he bravely stepped up to defend, and it seemed like it was Phil Burley's leg that actually caught him as like the support runner coming through, just kind of shin on temple. It was pretty sickening. Good to see him kind of walk off eventually though, but thankfully, they didn't even just do the HIA. He was just straight off, which is good for his health. But yeah, so Ruru came on, and that was fine. The Sunwolves actually did push the Rebels for a wee bit. They had some a forward pass play that was kind of broken up, and then Vanden Hever couldn't pick up the ball off the ground at one point when it was kind of down by his ankles when he was like threatening to go through. So the Rebels were under a wee bit of pressure, but then Maddox got a try after the Sunwolves had a bit of a loose ball. 26-0. Dana Halipeti got a try. Korobedi could have tried for the hat-trick, but he set him up. 31-0. Emery got a try from a charge down on Hodge. As I said, Hodge is every now and again guilty of getting his kicks charged down. 31-7. Scrum dominance from the Rebels just started to escalate. Ruru got his try from the side of Iraq. 38-7. Maddox straight through a gap. 45-7. And then I actually walked out of the room because I thought the game was over. And there was one more try to Jordan Ulisi. Made it 52 points to 7. 8 tries to 1. I felt like the Sunwolves probably, once they were that far behind, were just trying to force everything, trying to score from every single play. So that probably didn't help their cause. If they'd been a bit more patient, they might have got the scoreline a bit closer, but I suppose it wasn't going to make a difference in the end. So, just trying to force too much stuff. A bit disappointing. It did look pretty hot as well. Like when Guinea was down on the ground, both sides stood in the shade for a while because it was hot. So I guess that is the thing about the different seasons between North and South. Not surprisingly, Rebels dominated all the stats. 494 run meters to 289, 60% possession, 62% territory, fewer penalties. Although interestingly, their tackling wasn't that good, but neither was the Sunwolves. Both sides in the 70s. So just what the doctor ordered for the Rebels. Sunwolves, another disappointing loss. Good crowd though. Fans keep turning up for a team which is not going to exist any longer and has not been on a good run at all. The Sunwolves are at home to the Brumbies next week, so we'll see if their fans continue to turn out. The Rebels are at home to the Waratahs, so both kind of key Aussie conference clashes. The Sunwolves are still dead last, not surprising. The Rebels are in 5th on the overall log with 33 points, so not too far off a top 3 spot. The Rebels. The next one is the Blues against the Crusaders. It's my team. So I watched this one. I suppose overall that scoreline is probably closer than most people picked the Blues to lose by, because I think on Super Rugby anyway, 98% of people picked a Crusaders win. Kind of not surprising, but yeah, as I said, perhaps a little bit closer. Havili got a line break early, and it looked like it was going to be a long, long night for the Blues. The Crusaders turned down the 3, but then next time took the shot because the Blues defense held. So it was 3-zip, and this was largely a story of penalties in this game. Mo'unga got a second one on like 14 minutes, made it 6-0. Bryn Hall got his try on about 20 minutes, and Mo'unga was from a Mo'unga kick through. So yeah, the Crusaders were well in front, 13-0. And then Plummer kicked the penalty, 13-3. But yeah, wasn't all that much happening for the Blues in that first half. Havili at one point managed to keep one of Plummer's penalties. He kicked for touch, and Havili managed to keep it in play. And then when they kicked it back to Plummer, he knocked it on, and I was shaking my head. It was not good times for the Blues. 40 minutes, Reese had a try, TMO'd for a knock on. Oh, sorry, it was it Reese? Yeah, it was Reese's. Was that his foot out? I've watched too much rugby, I'm getting confused. Either way, there was a fair bit of TMO in the game. There was a Blues tackle on Mo'unga, which got TMO'd. They said it was high, not high, they said it was fine, and he didn't get a try. Plummer kicked the penalty from about 45 metres out, which was better than we're used to seeing him kicking. 13 points to 6. Rico Ioane got his try on around 70 minutes from a little Nanai flick pass. He was lucky because they checked the forcing of that one, and he probably should force the ball a bit more clearly. 16 points to 11, kind of game on, but then the Crusaders kick another penalty. 19 points to 11, and that is more than 2 scores. No bonus point for the Blues. Yeah. Not good. It was Reese's knock on. That's right. They thought it came off his knee, but it actually came off his hands, and Bridges' try got disallowed. Anyway, yeah. It was a loss for the Blues. A try apiece. I think it was scrappy from my point of view. I mean, I'm a fan of one of the teams, and even I thought it was scrappy. Run meters more for the Crusaders. Possession and territory fairly even, slightly more for the Crusaders. Tackling both in the 80s, pretty good. So Blues conceded slightly more penalties. Scrum was under a lot of pressure at times. So yeah, the Crusaders just keep going on. Sam Whitelock gave the Blues a bit of credit at the end, saying they were tough, although he thought that tackle on Mo'unga should have been a penalty try because it was high, and Jeff Wilson thought it was high as well. As a Blues fan, I'm going to go, yeah, it was just on the borderline, but if I was a Crusaders fan, I'd probably be saying it was high. So yeah, no bonus point for the Blues. They are in 13th, kind of familiar territory for Blues fans. But that being said, they are only 4 points off 8th spot, so still not dead and buried. But yeah, still work to be done. The Crusaders, on the other hand, are first and on 53 points. The next best team is the Highlanders, the Hurricanes. They have 40 points, so that's the difference between first and second on points. Although the Hurricanes aren't in second because of the conference system. Interestingly, at one point the commentator said, "Nonu, you don't see him kicking that often." Yes, you do. He kicks lots. Like, of all the midfielders, I think he was like top 4 or top 5 for the number of kicks he does. He does more kicks than Crotty. He does more kicks than ALB. He kicks a fairly decent amount for a guy in the midfield, and he usually puts in pretty good ones. Maybe like 15 years ago he didn't kick that much, but he's been kicking for a while. So anyway, the next one, I only saw the highlights for the remaining games. Waratahs, Jaguares. This was an important game for the Waratahs to get a win, and they did not do it. Jaguares able to stamp some authority on the South African Conference, and they did it. So it was 2 tries apiece, 2 to Mojano for the Jaguares, a penalty try, and 1 to Curtis Rona for the Waratahs. You guys who watched the game before will have to tell me, kind of fill in some of the gaps, but it looked like, from what I saw, that the Jaguares had a whole bunch of ball early. It looked like they were just running at the Waratahs, but not scoring points, because they didn't score the first points until like 25 minutes, but it looks like it should have been a lot sooner. But Mojano showed a whole lot of acceleration when he did get that first try from a kick through. Newsom just got burned when he was turning, but still 7-0, and that's what Mojano does really well. Foley kicked the penalty on 35 minutes, made it 7 points to 3, but then Miotti got one back for the Jaguares, 10 points to 3. That's how it was at halftime. Mojano got his second try. It was another kick, and when Mojano got the ball, he had like a really elusive little run. Like Kurtley Beale could not stop him, and it was 17 points to 3. Waratahs eventually got a penalty try from a maul, and the Jaguares got yellow carded, so it was within 7 points, 17-10, and it was, game on at that point. Phipps got his try, but it was TMO'd because of a foot and touch in the lead-up, so it would have been a try, but ended up not. That being said, Rona got a try out wide. It was a bounce pass, which the commentators, gave a bit of credit to Hooper in the lead-up. So they missed the conversion, hit the post. It was 17-15, 5 points to 0 for the yellow card. So a decent result for the Waratahs. But then Bonisia, he got 2 penalties towards the end of the game, which took it beyond bonus point territory for the Waratahs. So it seemed like it was a pretty close game at times. Perhaps a bit of first half, second half kind of game of two halves thing. But either way, the Jaguares are on a pretty good run right now. They are top of the South African Conference. They are second overall. Imagine someone having to go to Argentina for that potentially quarterfinal if they could make it, and then perhaps even a semi-final if they won that and finished second. Who knows? I think it'd be a really tough place to go. The crowd will definitely make themselves apparent and known to the opposition. They're 36 points in second. The Sharks in the South African Conference are only 3 points behind them, so it's not a huge lead, but they are still in first. The Waratahs, on the other hand, are down in 12th with the Blues, just above the Blues. But as I said, the 8th team, which is the Lions, are only on 30 points, so also still not dead and buried, but other results would have to go their way, and they would have to pick up some wins to do anything. Again, for this one, the stats look pretty even, although the Jaguares edged the possession, the territory. Had similar run meters. The Waratahs are away to the Rebels next week, which is going to be tough. The Jaguares are away to the Reds, and will definitely be eyeing up another win, because apparently the Jaguares are really good at touring Australia and New Zealand. It seems to be a thing. But you guys have seen that game before. Will have to give me a little bit more information as to why the Jaguares weren't able to score. Was it loose carries? Was it knock-ons? Was it great Waratahs defense? Please do fill in those gaps for me. The next one, the Stormers and the Highlanders. This was the highest scoring of the games, apart from that Rebels shellacking of the Sunwolves. So, again, I haven't seen the game before. I've seen the highlights. Sanatla had a try ruled out early because he was just offside for a kick through. It was not much, but I suppose he was very slightly in front. And then Banks kicked the penalty to put the Highlanders in the lead just before 20 minutes. But then Herschel Yankees got his try from a Sanatla line break, made it 7 points to 3. That was the only lead change of the game, so the Storm was in front. Stunner kicked the penalty, 10-3. Faddis got a yellow card for a kind of tip tackle on, or a lifting tackle beyond horizontal kind of thing on Damien Delende. And then Khaleesi got his try from a line-out move. Man, he just comes through these gaps. It's like last week. When that guy hits a gap, you better be ready, because he's coming at pace. And, they couldn't get him. They almost got him, but not quite. He had a bit of work to do. So it was 17 points to 3. I mean, he was like 22 meters out when he got the try. Anyway, that's what it was at halftime. Sanatla had another try TMO'd off in the second half due to a knock-on and lead-up. Tompkinson got his try for the Highlanders from a few meters out, 17-10. That was at 50-odd minutes. Cobus Visa got his try running a support line for Dylan Lades, who looked dangerous from the minutes I've seen. A big dummy from him. Straight through, 24 points to 10. And then the Stormers got another penalty, 27-10. Naholo got his try from Ash Dixon, had like a pretty beautiful offload in the lead up. So that was, a good effort from them. But then Jean-Luc Dupria got a try from a Damien Delende break in the lead up. It was 34 points to 15. And then Hamilton got a try kind of at the death, 34-22. So for the Highlanders, it was always going to be a tough one. But I think the thing for them now is, because they are in 10th, they're on 29 points, so only 1 point behind the playoffs, but virtually every team above them, except for the Crusaders, who's not going to make a difference in the area of the table they're looking at, everyone else has got a game in hand. So not all of those teams are going to win that game in hand, but it's just one extra chance for them to pull ahead of the Highlanders. So they're not out of it by any means. If the Blues and the Waratahs are still in with a mathematical chance, the Highlanders are still in with a decent chance, but the tour hasn't gone swimmingly. The Highlanders are on the bye next week, so last chance to kind of rest and recover and put in a couple of good shifts that they have left. The Stormers are away to the Lions, so the Stormers, by winning this game, have put themselves right back into that race. They are in 9th at the moment. They're only down out of the playoffs on points difference with the Lions. So if you're a Stormers fan, you're definitely still alive. And your team did look pretty good. They had more run meters than the Highlanders, despite having less ball and less territory. So the Stormers team throughout the season has looked a little bit lacking with that attacking punch, but then you see this game and they scored a whole bunch of tries. So I think that's finally come, and they are looking there or thereabouts. I'm not quite sure how they will go for the remaining fixtures, but it's better than it looked like it was going to be at the start of the season, just put it that way. And the last one, Sharks and Lions. This one I'm going to need educating, otherwise I'm going to have to watch the game myself, because it doesn't make sense looking at all the numbers. I mean, I've seen the highlights. Obviously, Sharks get the win 27-17, but how did they get the win? I don't understand it. Educate me. So Bosch misses a penalty after about 12 minutes, and that is a shank of all shanks. It was a pretty awful kick, but he makes up for it about 5 minutes later with an intercept try. So it's 7 points to 0 because of an intercept. Sharks do a line-out move, 20-odd minutes. It's a maul try. Daniel Dupria gets that. It's 14-0. Sharks, at least scoreboard-wise, are looking comfortable. Lions come back on half an hour. Yankees to Mapo. And Mapo looked to have a pretty good game, actually. 14-7, that's how it is at halftime. Nkosi gets denied a try. It looked like Fussy kind of used a bit of shepherding to go through a big gap. Like, he just almost like superhero. I guess it was fitting given the uniforms, but just like superhero, like phased in through a gap. And they denied Nkosi because there was a foot and touch. It was Kwaka Smith with a bit of a try-saving tackle there. And then Kyle Brink gets a try. Dianti and Mapo, good work in the lead-up. So it's 14-all. Bosch kicks a penalty, 17-14. And then just before the hour, Mapimpi gets another intercept for the Sharks. And he goes real quick. He doesn't look like he's running that fast, but he's pretty quick. And that's 24-14. So that's the pretty much... that, apart from a couple of penalties. Yankees misses a penalty. Mapu drops the ball in the lead up to a potential try for the Lions. The Lions go through a bunch of phases. The TMO gives them a no try. Lions kick a penalty on 73 minutes, but Bosch kicks one a few minutes later. 27-17 is how it finishes. The key areas I am confused is possession, 64% Lions. Territory, 66% Lions. Run meters, more to the Sharks. Is that the intercepts? Is that because Mapimpi clocks up like virtually 100 with his intercept? And Bosch, like a bunch of meters with his intercept as well? That must account for about half of the Sharks' meters, surely. I'll have to have a look at the individual stats. The Lions' defense continues to be a problem, 75% tackling, which is about their average. I'll have to double check their overall season average, but they consistently drop below 80. The Sharks are at 82. They have to make 129 tackles to the Lions' 45. So the Sharks are on defense a lot, but it seems like they just hold the Lions out, despite having not that much ball, and they just hit them on the counter. Tell me how this one went down, because the stats do not make a whole lot of sense. A bit of counter-punching from the Sharks, apparently. The Sharks have got the Hurricanes at home next week. That's going to be tough, because the Hurricanes, despite the trip to South Africa, are coming off a bye, so they could be managing their travel pretty wisely. The Lions are at home to the Stormers, and that game becomes massive, because it's virtually do or die. With the Lions are in 8th, the Stormers are in 9th. They're both on 30 points, so one of them could potentially end the other one's season next week. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a good crowd over at Ellis Park for that one. The Sharks are in 6th on 33, so far from safe, but still in a playoff spot. That was a much needed win for them. But yeah, those were the games. Interesting as they were. I think if I have to go back and watch one, I may watch that Sharks and Lions one. See how I go for time. But either way, pretty interesting in terms of the overall standings now. I still think everyone is still in with a shot, but some of those teams at the bottom are basically just going to have to win from here on out. You guys let me know your thoughts on the games, especially these last three, the ones that I've only seen the highlights of. Please fill in the gaps with the bits that I've missed, and yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.